Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about who in Stranger Things is safe in season 5 and who is more likely to die. Please excuse my makeshift background. I am actually surrounded by moving boxes right now. Life is a bit chaotic, but I put up a curtain and tried to hide all these dresses. Anyway, I've been seeing so much discourse online and with my friends and family about who is potentially going to die in the final season of Stranger Things. I know that a lot of people are very stressed out about it, so I'm here to reassure some of you and also make some of you nervous depending on what character you are most concerned about. I'll be ranking everything on a scale from in danger to safe. And in between those two options, we also have at risk, which is more of a, they probably could die, but I'm not going to say that they're like really going to die or really likely to die. And then likely safe, as in I believe that they're safe, but there's always a chance. There's always a chance. And then safe, of course, is people who are, I think, 100% safe, not going to die. So some of my thoughts on certain characters might actually shock you guys. So I really am interested to see if you agree with me in the comments down below. Hopefully I'm bringing something worthwhile to this discourse. Basically the way I'm approaching this is that everything must be viewed through a lens of what message the Duffer Brothers want to send and what note they want to end Stranger Things on. This is like their passion project. This is their big show that they have spent over a decade working on. And we have to think about what note they want it to end on. They've been very clear that they haven't let fans sway what they're going to do. This is the ending they've been working towards since the beginning. And therefore, I think what their great picture for the show is most important when considering who might die. I don't think it will be a shock value kind of thing. I think it will be very strategically thought out, whoever ends up not making it to the end of this series. On that note, there are some essential questions that we have to ask ourselves when thinking about who might die, who might live, who's at risk, etc. So again, what themes or morals is the show exploring, and would a death go against those themes or against those morals? And next, what are the individual arcs of each of these characters? Some characters have really well-defined arcs about where their journey is going, and to die would completely cut it short, which, yes, death does to everyone. Obviously, it cuts your life short, but some characters have much more clearly defined ends that they're chasing than others. So characters that are more fleshed out might be more safe. Basically, almost the same thing as that is, would a character's story ending in death interfere with endings that have been foreshadowed for them? So not necessarily like what their character arc is, but there's been foreshadowing throughout the series that this is what's going to happen with them. In some instances, death has been foreshadowed, and in other instances, endgame ships. Next, and this is a big one to me, is would a character's death feel repetitive? Have they died before? Have similar characters died before? Would this character's death, however you envision it being, would it feel like they've done it before? And finally, and most importantly, what would this character's death add to the story? These are really important things. Like, think about Billy's death. Billy, spoilers for Stranger Things season 3, Billy's death completely changed the trajectory of Max's character and obviously had her end up where she was for season 4. On that same note, way back in the beginning, Benny's death, the man who had the burger joint who helped Elle in the very first episode, his death was a tool to show us that the people from Hawkins' lab were dangerous. They were willing to kill. They were not messing around. And while that death is still to me one of the saddest ones, it was for a purpose. It was with the intention of showing us how dangerous these people were. and how ruthless they were. So things like that. Like, what does the death add to the story? And if it adds nothing to the story, obviously we don't know what the plot will be for season 5 other than a few sparing details, which obviously is not even close to the whole picture. We don't know what the story exactly will look like. But if you think about a character and their role with the other characters and also their connection to the events and the plot, what would it add? And just would it make sense at all? Or would it just be like a death to have a death? Okay, now that was a lot, but just to save like lots of comments saying the same things over and over again, I felt like it was important to get all of that out of the way. So now that we can finally dive in. All right. So I'm going to go in an order of characters that kind of makes sense to me in my brain, starting with the 2 biggest characters to me in terms of like importance to the show and the series like overall, starting with, unsurprisingly, 11, aka Elle, aka Jane Hopper. We're starting with one that's already very difficult, but I believe that Elle is at risk. So originally I had her placed as likely safe, but one of my fears is that they're going to mirror the ending of season 1 with how they'll end her character's journey in season 5. And I think in my heart, I don't think that Elle is going to die, but I do think that something is going to happen with the way that her story ends that will be relatively open-ended. I think the chances of that are high, and whether that's, where is she? Oh, she's alive because here's a little nugget of a clue that she's alive and they just gotta find her again. I don't know how that will look, but I do think that how her story ends, it's potentially the most who the hell knows of any of these. Her connection to everything, and also the fact that she needs to be on the front lines when she's fighting, it definitely puts her higher at risk. And I do see them mirroring what happened at the end of season 1 when she kind of sacrificed herself, but she ended up just in the upside down. I don't think that exact thing will happen again, but I do see them, because they are echoing season 1 and earlier seasons so much with season 5, I do see that happening. However, I don't think that they will kill her for a couple of reasons. One, Hopper can't lose 2 daughters. I will talk more about Hopper when we get to him, but their father-daughter relationship, I think, is very important to his character's ending, and therefore I don't think that Elle dying would be in line with that. And therefore it wouldn't make sense to me, because Hopper is meant to end the series with a daughter. Secondly, I think Elle deserves a chance at freedom and happiness. I think it would be a pretty sad and terrible way to end if they killed her, especially because this heroine survived abduction, I guess, from literally the womb, and years of psychological and physical abuse. I believe that she deserves to have a happy ending, and I know that a lot of people feel the same way. And I think just having a really empowering female character as a lead like this, it just would suck to see her die at the end and not get the chance to like finally be at peace and live a happy life. So that's what I hope for her, and that's what I think. I think Elle is at risk, but not necessarily of dying. I think she's likely safe from dying, but I think she's at risk of kind of being there, living a normal life at the end of the series, if that makes sense. So starting off on a vague one, that's where I'm concluding with Elle. Will Byers, my favorite character, and I know that what I'm about to say may sound biased because he's my favorite character and always has been since the very first scene of season 1 when I watched it back in 2016, and I will say that obviously I don't want him to die. That would really suck. I have a history of my favorite characters dying. I don't know why that always happens to me, but I really think that Will Byers is likely safe. So number one reason, I've already gotten comments when I've mentioned this before, so I will explain it, but gay protection. Why would they give him a beautiful coming out arc just for his journey of self-acceptance and self-love to end with him dying, and most likely brutally? The kill your gays trope, which is a really terrible thing that's existed in Hollywood for a while, and it's gotten better in recent years, but it's this tradition of killing off queer characters. And not only are they killed off, but oftentimes they also spend the whole movie suffering, or the whole series or the whole book suffering. How gay people are often depicted suffering, whether it be from homophobia or AIDS or loneliness. It's that's been way overdone in Hollywood, to the extent that kill your gays is literally the name of the trope, and it's so common. And I don't see the Duffer Brothers doing that, because I just think it'd be kind of controversial. And on that note, when it comes to a queer character being depicted as suffering, he has suffered this entire series, from the first episode all the way until now. And he's gonna suffer in this season. Like, just watching the trailers, he's going through it. And they've already said that Will is gonna be a lead in this season, and his connection to the Upside Down is gonna be explored. And there's so much trauma there, so it will inherently be rough for him. But then add Vecna's violence and just the brutality of it all, and the psychological element of feeling like potentially everything that's happening is his fault. Will has been going through it. It was a running joke for years that they were like, please just let Will rest. Let Will catch a break. Let him have a good day. And not a single season has gone by with him being like genuinely happy for more than a few scenes at a time. And not only was he going through it in this series, but he was also going through it pre-canon with Lonnie, who was a abusive father. So it's just not a good message, and it doesn't feel good at all to have a character that suffered throughout this whole show, to have his journey end in death. That is pretty dismal. Do you agree? Give him a chance at happiness. And even if that happiness isn't ending up with Mike, which I hope it is, but even if it's not, and it very well could be, I think to dismiss that is ignorant, and not in a like homophobic way, but like in a like, are you watching the show way, because they're clearly setting it up as an option, and so it deserves to be taken seriously as an option. But anyway, no need to belabor on that anymore. But I do think that having a character suffer the entire series just to die is pretty terrible. And it may look like he's gonna die, but I think it would be too obvious to kill him. Him being in danger will definitely be a motivator for the group, but I don't think that he will die. And finally, the last thing I'll say is that the show can go one of two ways. Was Joyce Buyers always meant to lose Will, or will he have a happy ending? That's really what we have to consider. Like, was all of this not for nothing, but like this whole journey, was she never really meant to get to keep him in the end? Were all of them gonna lose Will? Was Mike gonna lose Will? Was Lucas and Dustin, were they all gonna lose Will? Was that inevitable? Is that what this series is saying? Or will the Byers family get to have a happy ending? I know what I want. And I know some people actually do want Will to die, which is jarring, crazy. I just like can't imagine wanting a character to die if the character is not like a villain or just like terrible. Like, he's not Ramsay Bolton. Like, he's Will Byers. Like, he's like a quiet, shy, kind little nugget. Anyway, time to move on. But that was that. Okay, next. Mike Wheeler. Mike Wheeler, without a doubt, is safe. Number one reason being he has plot armor. Mike is the endgame for two potential ships. He is the point of a love triangle. He's either going to end up with Elle or he's going to end up with Will. And at no point has it seemed like he's going to end up with neither. I think he may be put through the ringer this season, especially because he's really close to two people that Vecna is going after, and more on his family later. But I do not think that Mike is in danger. I think he's too pivotal to the end games of two different characters, and there's no way that Will and Elle are going to die. That would be crazy. Imagine Will and Elle die. But it won't happen. So he's going to end up with one of them. I don't think Mike's going to die. I'm like actually 100% confident about that. I just don't think it'll happen. Yeah, so Maleven, Byler, who knows, but Mike's got to be there for both of them. So yeah. Next up, we have Lucas Sinclair. Lucas, I think, is likely safe. It feels important to me that he be alive for a happy ending with Max. after what they were put through last season. And depending on how Max's fate turns out, which I'll talk about, after what Lucas went through, especially in the last episode of season 4, it just doesn't make sense to me that they would kill him off. I don't know what it would add to the story. I don't think it makes sense. He's got to be alive for Max. So that's where I'm ending with that. Pretty cut and dry. Next, Dustin Henderson. Unfortunately, I think Dustin is at risk. So not completely in danger, but definitely at risk. So I don't think that anyone in the party will die, but if one does, I think that Dustin is probably the most at risk. And I think this for a couple of reasons. One, he's not protected by the plot in the same way that many of the other characters are. Him being alive isn't necessary for other characters to have a happy ending, but everyone would be grieving him. His death would affect so many of the characters. It would affect the kids, and it would affect the teens, and it would also affect Erica, Joyce, and so many of the characters have a connection to Dustin because he's kind of bounced around between groups. So his death would have a huge impact on not just the characters in the show, but on the audience. And so when we're going back to those essential questions of what would a character's death bring to the story, it would definitely raise the stakes if Dustin died. And it would really show that the danger of what they've been going through did not spare any of the core original cast. It would hurt. It would really hurt. I mean, any of these deaths would really hurt, but Dustin is so sweet and charming, and he's the comedic relief so often, and in so many ways, even though Mike is the heart, Dustin's the heart, you know, like, and he's also kind of the brain in a lot of ways too. So yes, he's very important leading up to the climax, but I'm worried that in the climactic moments, that's when Dustin is most at risk, after we've already formulated plans and all of that. Again, I don't think he's 100% in danger, but I do think he's at risk, and that's unfortunately I don't want to see him go, but I think he's at risk. Next, Max Mayfield. Obviously, she's safe. She's got plot armor to an extent in the sense that she's already died. Like, she's died. I mean, she technically did die. They would not keep Max in a coma just to kill her again. Why would they do that? It would make no sense. Why would they put us through the emotional abuse of watching her die and that awful, painful scene just to not kill her then, but kill her again later? And it wouldn't have the same impact because she'll be asleep for so much of the season. It just doesn't make sense. Max is safe, and for that reason, I think Lucas is likely safe as well. Next up, Nancy Wheeler. I think Nancy is safe for the same reason that Mike is safe. She is the pivotal person in 2 potential endgame ships. Jancy, her and Jonathan, and Stancy, her and Steve. Both of these ships have been around since the beginning, and they both depend on her being alive. So she's gotta live. It's just gotta happen. And even more in the case of Nancy, Steve and especially Jonathan don't have as much going on with their characters without her. She's very central to their characters. So it just doesn't make sense for her to die. It won't happen. We love a girl boss. Good job, Nancy Wheeler. Next up, Jonathan Buyers. Speaking of Jancy, I think Jonathan is unfortunately at risk. I don't see them killing Jonathan, but he's certainly less protected by the plot than many other characters. I don't think that they would kill him. It doesn't seem like it'd be a worthwhile enough death in the sense that it wouldn't affect as many fans and characters as Dustin's would, but you never know, especially if the writers want her to end up with Steve, or if, let's go back to that question I asked earlier, was Joyce Buyers always meant to lose her son? What if she spent this whole time trying to save Will and they lose Jonathan? What if that's the mirror of season 1, but instead of getting Will back, aka instead of getting Jonathan back, they lose Jonathan? So it's possible. It'd be pretty devastating to have the double whammy of Jancy not being endgame and Joyce Buyers losing a son. Oh, that would hurt. I personally ship Jancy more than I ship Stancy, but we'll see what they do. We'll see. So I think Jonathan's at risk, but definitely wouldn't categorize him as in danger. I think he's a soft at risk, more likely safe. Steve Harrington. I know this is one that a lot of people are nervous about and have been every single season. Every season. So many of my best friends, their favorite characters are Steve, and I have to reassure people every season. I'm like, this is why I don't think he's gonna die. Or this is why he might die this season. I'm pleased to report that I think in season 5, Steve Harrington is likely safe. Never want to give it 100% because, but okay. My big reason why I don't think Steve is going to die is because I think it would be repetitive. They already killed one of Dustin's older brother figures in Eddie, and we're seeing the impact that it's having on him as a character. And I don't think that they would do it again with Steve. I think it'd be way too repetitive. If they were going to kill Steve, I think a previous season would have been the time to do it. And I think that they chose to kill Eddie instead. The writers, the creators, they all love Steve so much. And I'm here to be the voice of reason, guys. Hear me out. And I know that this is going to be mind-boggling to everyone, whether it be big fans of the show or casual viewers. But Steve Harrington does not have to die. It's not an inevitable thing. In fact, it's not even likely. I don't think he's gonna die. I hope that's reassuring. Like, it doesn't have to happen. Yes, he's always getting in fights and getting beaten up because he's the muscle, but that does not mean he's gonna die. It doesn't have to happen. I hope that's a relief and that I hope he doesn't die. But every season we go through this and he doesn't die. So there's a high chance that he will make it through the entire series without dying. Congrats to Steve. Again, I think it would be repetitive, and that's my number one reason why I'm counting that out. Next up, Robin Buckley. She's safe. Number one reason, gay protection. For all the reasons I just talked about with Will, especially in this current climate, I don't think the Duffers would do that. I don't think Sean Levy would do it. I don't think they're going to kill their only lesbian, especially because all lesbian representation gets canceled and there's like hardly any anyway. She's really positive lesbian representation, and I don't think that they'll kill her off. Secondly, and this is by no means an insult, it's just the order in which like the characters are important to the plot. Robin is not a big or small enough character to die. Does that make sense? She exists in this happy gray zone, like a little Goldilocks zone, where she's not so important that a death would be pivotal or gut-wrenching, shock value, anything like that. But she's not minor enough to be a throwaway character. I think she's really safe because she exists in that gray zone. And on top of that, I think she'll get to have a happy ending with Vicky, her love interest that we see in season 4. So that's Robin. I think she's safe. Joyce Buyers. Safe. Her being alive is part of Hopper's happy ending. There's no reason to kill her. Why would they do it? Doesn't make sense. What would it add? I see no reason to kill Joyce Buyers. I really stretched my brain trying to think of a good idea for a Joyce death, and I'm just not coming up with anything. It just doesn't make sense. I just don't think they're gonna do it. And I'm pretty 100% positive about that. Joyce Buyers is safe. Next up, Chief Jim Hopper. Safe. Number one reason being, he's already died. Again, he didn't actually die, but he died. We all thought he died. We all went through a Hopper death scene, complete with Peter Gabriel's cover of Heroes, which was brutal. Thank you very much. We already went through that trauma. We're not going to go through it again. It'd be too repetitive. It doesn't make sense for his character. It doesn't make sense for the plot. He's meant to have an end game with Joyce and with Elle. I meant to make a whole character study video about Hopper, and maybe I'll still do it. But the gist of it is that from the very first scene with Hopper in it in season 1, episode 1, the scene starts on a drawing of a father and a daughter. And as I've been saying for years, but I don't know actually if I've ever said it on this channel, maybe I have, maybe I haven't, Hopper's story concludes with him having a family. Joyce is part of that family. Elle is part of that family, which is why I think she's going to live. And yeah, his whole character arc has been about having a family. He's had to get to that point over the course of 4 seasons with Joyce, and he got to that point with Elle. To sum it up, too many happy endings depend on Hopper being alive, and again, they would not kill him a second time. Just wouldn't make sense, and that's that. Next up, we have Karen Wheeler. I think Karen Wheeler is in danger. I fear that none of the Wheelers are fully safe, and by the Wheelers, I mean not Nancy and Mike, but the other 3, Ted, Karen, and Holly. And I'm going to talk about all 3 of them right now, but we're going to start with Karen. My theory is that Karen dies protecting Holly. In some behind the scenes footage and stills that they've released, we see Holly standing in the Wheeler living room looking really scared and she's soaking wet. And in the most recent trailer, we see Karen and Holly in the bathtub underwater. So my theory going from there is that some sort of Demogorgon or Demodog, some sort of monster from the Upside Down entered the Wheeler house. Karen and Holly were hiding from it. And then Karen maybe goes to see if the coast is clear or goes to try and fight it. I don't know. But I think it's possible that Holly's the only one that in the household that survives that. And on that note, I think Ted Wheeler is in danger as well. I'm actually 90% confident. I think Ted is gonna die. Like, I think he's gonna get eaten by a Demodog. I think Ted's more likely to die than Karen, but it's possible to me. I see the potential that they'll both die. I think it'll be sad to lose Karen, I'm gonna be honest. I think Ted will be like a shock value, like, oh my god, Ted's being eaten. And I think Karen will have more of a death scene because she's kind of been a bigger character throughout the series. It could be because the Wheeler house is being targeted as a result of Mike and Nancy's connection to all the other characters and Nancy's vision from Vecna, but it's just a matter of how far they get before, and I'll insert this moment from the trailer, but before Nancy and Elle show up to the Wheeler house, I think in the same night to save the Wheeler family. And going off of that, I think Holly Wheeler is at risk. So one of the big red flags here is that they cast Nell Fisher, who is a actress with horror experience, to play Holly Wheeler for this season, aka this character is going to be going through it. I know that she has a bigger role in season 5, but yeah, they clearly want an actor who can play horror scenes. So I think that there's going to be this big scary thing going down in the Wheeler house. And I think it's possible that the vanishing of episode is going to be like the vanishing of Holly Wheeler, but it's also possible that Nancy and Elle will get there in time and they'll save her, but it's also possible that they won't save her and she'll die. I will say that the Demogorgon almost got her in season 1, episode 3, Holly Jolly, when she was following the lights into Will's room and the Demogorgon was reaching for her, and it's possible that also might have been foreshadowing. So Holly Wheeler is kind of a dark horse in the sense that she's not a really huge character, but she's connected to a lot of characters. This is going to be the first time we really see her like do something, so they could go any direction with it, but I'm very concerned about the Wheeler parents, less concerned about Holly, but I think she's still at risk. Next up, we have Erica Sinclair. I am thinking Erica, safe. Much like Robin, I think Erica exists in that beautiful gray zone of not being too big or too small of a role. She's safe in that beautiful little area. Also, I think it'd be kind of messed up to kill the one black girl in the show, especially when all the other characters are in substantially more danger more often. So there's that as well. I think Erica is safe. I do think she's going to have some awesome things to do this season, and she might be in danger, but pretty confident that she will not be Bones at the end of season 5. Next up, Murray Bowman, in danger. So similarly to Robin and Erica, he exists in this area of not being too big, but not being too small. And that could be why he ends up being safe. But I'm more leaning towards him being in danger because he's not protected by the plot. No happy endings revolve around him being alive for any of the characters. He's friends with Joyce and Hopper, and he knows Jancy, but he's not close enough with them, you know? I think if they're killing people off to show the audience the scope of the danger this season, I would say Murray is not safe. It really depends on how much of a bloodbath they want this season to be. If they're really going to kill multiple big characters, and by big characters I mean the ones that I've talked about, the ones that are in the opening credits or like larger roles, like the Wheeler family. I think if they're looking to really kill people, Murray's in danger. But I think if they're going the same course that they've been going for the other seasons, he could be all right. But I think he's in danger. And yeah, that's the list. So in conclusion, the people I think are 100% safe are Mike, Nancy, Max, Joyce, Robin, Hopper, and Erica. The characters that I think are likely safe are Will, Lucas, and Steve. The characters that I think are at risk are Eleven, Dustin, Jonathan, and Holly. And the characters that I think are in danger of dying in season 5 are Karen, Ted, and Murray. I hope that list was at all helpful or added to the conversation around Stranger Things 5 at all. I think if you're going to consider characters, like really worry about them, anyone that I said was in danger or at risk, I think it's fair to be concerned about them. But I think anyone that I marked as safe or likely safe just has too much protecting them plot-wise, society-wise. There's just too much in their favor for me to be worried about them. And that being said, I'm going to worry about Will regardless. I'm going to worry about all of these characters regardless, because it's the last season and I've seen some pretty crazy last seasons of TV shows. You never really know. Obviously, I'm not one of the writers on this show, so don't hate on me if I was wrong about anything. But, yeah, please let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on who is safe, who's in danger, etc., in season 5 of Stranger Things. How do you want to see the endgame ships play out? Is there a ship you really love? Is there a ship you really hate? And who's your favorite character that you really, really, really don't want to see die? Because it would ruin the show for you. For me, that would be Will. Okay. I feel weird saying that it would ruin the show for me. Because I can't imagine anything ruining this show for me, and I do trust the Duffer Brothers. I fear it would mess me up in the way that Tony's death did. Maybe I could try to pretend like this last season just didn't exist. Wow. I don't want to live in a world where Stranger Things is ruined for me. I don't know. We'll have to see, but I don't think he's gonna die, so I'm not really that worried about it. Also, I would like to say that in no way has this list been, or my favorite characters, or anything like that, been impacted by who's playing the characters. The actors have nothing to do with this list. This has nothing to do with actors or outside world stuff, except for the implications of killing queer characters that have done nothing but suffer. I think that is irremovable from the outside world, and it should be acknowledged. Because queer people deserve to be happy, and they deserve to be depicted being happy. But I could go on about that for ages, and I already have in a few different videos, so I'll spare you. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for bearing with me with my whole setup going on here. I hope you guys enjoy season 5 content. Stay tuned for more of my videos about it. I'll be here, ready to discuss. If you have any other things you want me to talk about this upcoming season and the end of Stranger Things, if you want me to analyze any specific characters or plot lines, please let me know. I'm happy to do it. I would yap about Stranger Things all day, every day. So just let me know. I always come back for Stranger Things. So, yeah, let me know what you think and what you agree with, what you disagree with. Subscribe to see more of my Stranger Things and other content. And, yeah, have a good day, everyone. Bye.